Please welcome to the stage our country's first second gentleman, Doug Emhoff.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you to Max Steyer for that incredible introduction. How about that video? That was incredible. It's a real honor to be with you all tonight here at the Kennedy Center. But first, I have a question. Do you remember that moment, where you were, how you felt when you saw those images? It was one of those remarkable moments in our history. And I know it's a moment that I'm never going to forget. And I know where I was. I was home at the Naval Observatory, where ironically, we have telescopes there. There's actually telescopes that still work today that were built in the 1800s, late 1800s. And to go from where we were then to where we are now, it's quite incredible. And one of the great things about being married to Vice President Harris, among many, is that she gets to come home and tell me about her day. And I won't forget that day after she came home, after presenting to the world with President Biden at the White House, the first view of these incredible, life-changing, awe-inspiring images from that telescope. She couldn't stop talking about what she had just seen, the possibilities that these images represented. And we talked about our pure joy and excitement for the future. And I'm sure many of you here tonight had that same sense of amazement that we did. And do you know that the person who made all that possible is here with us tonight? I'm honored and proud to present the medal for the Federal Employee of the Year to Greg Robinson. Hold on. I've got more, hold on. That was like, getting you excited for Greg. Hold on. Wait, Greg, hold on. I'm gonna talk about you for a little bit. Greg is here with his wife, Cynthia. Cynthia, say hi to everybody. You gotta be very proud. But I just wanna talk about Greg a little bit before he comes up. Greg was born in Danville, Virginia. Virginia. 9th of 11 children. His parents were tobacco sharecroppers. And from that, Greg oversaw the successful launch of this revolutionary James Webb Telescope. Unbelievable. He set the stage for the spectacular discoveries about the origins of the universe that we have already seen and are going to see in the future. After spending much of his career at NASA, Greg served as the Deputy Chief Engineer, Deputy Center Director at the John H. Glenn Research Center, and Deputy Associate Administrator for Programs prior to what he's getting the award for, serving as Director for the James Webb Space Telescope Program. Now, why was he chosen to lead it? Because he knows what he's doing. And he was chosen at a very critical moment, as you saw from the video. Things were not going great. And I think he said no at first. But luckily, he decided to take the role, Greg. Thank you. Now, the Webb project had more than 300 critical technical issues to attack, with each one considered a potential single point of failure. The whole thing could have failed if one of those failed. Greg did not let that deter him. Greg was going to get this done. He worked hard. He gained trust within his team, and he brought this Webb Observatory to a launch. And now, because of that, in his long career working for us in public service, he's been recognized as among the most effective project leaders in its history, in its esteemed history, to bring this project to a successful completion. Now, I talked about my wife, the Vice President. She is also the chair of the National Space Council. So this is something near and dear to her, and it's something that she and I talk about a lot. And I've talked to her about this. The future is bright for space exploration, and she is working hard each and every day on that front. I'll also mention we had the honor of traveling to Florida a couple of weeks ago to attend the Artemis I launch. Now, the launch did not happen that day, but it was such an awesome trip. We got to meet with students, astronauts, astrophysicists, and members of the incredible NASA workforce who shared with us their vision and plan to send the first woman and the first person of color to the moon. And we are going to make that happen. Hold on, Greg. You're going to get that award. Space exploration, it's the future. It's what it's all about. It's about who we are as a nation. This nation, we are always testing the limits of pure innovation and pursuing the possibilities of what can be, unburdened by what has been. Because we don't work in public service because it makes us rich or it gives us glory. We do it, and I know Greg does it, because he wants to change the world. He wants to help all of us see the future and change the world. So with that, Greg, come on up so I can give you your medal for Federal Employee of the Year.
Got to put him to work here. Thank you so much for the kind words and the introduction. First, thanks to the partnership and the selection committees. I must say I'm honored. And when I saw the news, I don't know if they were supposed to tell me this ahead of time, either last night or this morning, I was shocked and honored. So thank you for all of your hard work and your commitment to government. It's a really big deal. Other thanks, my wife Cynthia. She's been very supportive, not just on Webb, but my whole career. Patient and understanding. Working flight projects, there's a lot of time away from the house, a lot of travel. So thank you for that. I love her dearly. So if we move on to Webb, I think some of my thunder has already been taken. And most of you know the story. I was not excited about taking over Webb. Not that Webb was bad. I loved the job I was doing at the time. I was truly happy with it. I thought it had a lot of broad impact. You saw in the video Thomas Zabukin, and I must say Dennis Andrusik was his deputy at the time. Both of them, I think they took turns twisting my arms. And at some point I had to relent. And I can tell you it's an honor to lead an amazing team of NASA, incredibly smart people, certainly the entire industrial base. When you look at, we say 10,000, we say 20,000, depending on which week we're talking. But a lot of people over 20 years to lead that industrial base and European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, and industrial base around the world. And when we did those images, well, let me go back to Christmas morning. I haven't done a scientific survey, but I think more people had their TV sets on Christmas of 2021 than in the history of humankind. And I can't tell you how many different people from all walks of life say, I got grandma up, got the kids up, and got the dogs up, and guess what we did? We watched the launch, normally when we open our gifts. So it was a really, really big deal. And then on July 12th, when we released those images, you saw some of them here, just amazing. And you think 30 plus years ago, launching Hubble, and I often use the term, it's been the big dog for a long time. I mean, just amazing information on our universe. And Webb is 100 times more powerful. Just put your mind around that. And we're seeing some of the images now, and we're still learning how to use this thing. So it's going to get, as the old preachers say, gooder and gooder as we go along. So I'm looking forward to more images, learning a lot more about exoplanets and perhaps where we can live one day. as Artemis gets off the ground and gets us back to the moon and hopefully to Mars in my grandkids' lifetime. So looking forward to that. Again, this is a huge, huge honor for me. I can't stress it enough. So thanks to all for participating and making Webb successful. And it wasn't just the technical team, it was the team of our stakeholders at OMB and Congress, and certainly the ninth floor at NASA headquarters. And again, they asked me to lead it, and I'm quite honored for that. So thanks for the award. Thanks to the other, and congratulations to the other finalists and recipients. When we had a little reception back in May, and we honored all of the finalists, I can tell you I was blown away by the great work going on in government. I truly, truly was. And of course, we know NASA and we live it, so we see all the great things. But when I heard the other stories and saw the people and talked to the people, just blown away. So I know the political rhetoric makes a lot of people not appreciate government, but I tell you, I think we're in really, really great hands. And when I ask people to vote for me, and I asked a lot, believe me, I also told them, read the other finalists' stories. Very, very, very powerful. And people did come back to me and say, yeah, I read those. I had no idea either. My last story, by the way, I retired July 29th, so I'm figuring out my next chapter. My last two stories. One is the Minister of Defense of UK invited me over, I think it was in May. They were having what they call Project Delivery Conference, and it's project management for us. So I gave a talk on Webb. We hadn't seen those images released at the time. And these are professionals just like us, and there were people in the room crying because of the success of Webb and the impact of Webb across the globe. Now, they had a little input with ESA on this as well. Lastly, I was doing a piece with Howard University. I'm going to tell this story forever. I don't know, a year or two ago. And in some of the pre-work, they asked if I was the first African American to run a major program at NASA. And I had the comms folks in the room with me, and everyone was scrambling for an answer, and no one could answer the question. And so, okay, we'll get back with you. And even went to the NASA historian to ask the question. And I often compare it to if you had asked the question in 2007 if there had ever been a black president of the United States. And they said, well, we got to go to the archives to figure this out. So it's the same kind of thing. So my charge to NASA, they've heard the story, and to industry and to the rest of government, in 5 years, let Greg Robinson just be a common, I use these terms, a common joker, just a regular program project manager of a major project. We have to make that turn. And I can tell you, I'm so pleased that the early career people in NASA and in industry, again, I think we're in really good hands. They're super, super smart. I met some this evening. But we have to make sure we open up that aperture, just like Webb has opened up the aperture to the universe as we move forward in these leadership roles. And with that, I can talk all night. So I'm going to step away so others can have their chance. So thank you. Thank you again.